Bold leaders, no buzzwords, no BS. This is Mastering Workplace Culture, real talk on crafting workplace cultures that deliver results. Each episode, we go beyond corporate speak and talk with leaders who've actually done it. Those who've faced breakdowns, made bold moves, and built organizations where respect and results carry equal weight. If you're ready to challenge assumptions, gain actionable inspiration from proven mentors, and build a workplace culture that actually works, this podcast is for you.
Hello, I'm Chris Edmonds of the Purposeful Culture Group, and I'm joined by...
Hi, I'm Mark Babbitt, and we're here today to talk to you about mastering workplace culture and why we are launching a podcast 3 years after we published Good Comes First.
That's right. And the focus of mastering workplace culture is not surprisingly about clients that we have been blessed to work with who've really gotten it right and figured out how to create cultures and sustain those cultures that not only exceed performance and results expectations, but have people model respect and validation with each other day in and day out. So, Mark, why don't you start a little background on you, and then I'll do the same.
I'm happy to. I admit I came into the culture leadership space quite by accident. We were running a startup where we were helping college students, recent graduates, young professionals find their first internship or their first job and expecting it to be that proverbial dream job, only to find out that many workplaces suck. And so it wasn't a dream job. It was a nightmare. Like, I worked all these years through college, through personal development, getting ready to ascend into the workforce, and it's nothing like I'd hoped it would be. So my focus quickly became, how do we help leaders create a workplace where people actually feel valued, validated, appreciated, respected?
Well, and I'm way older than Mark. I started a long time ago, and I was an executive in nonprofit work for 15 years, then went from there into Your Nation's Central Bank for 3 years as an internal consultant at the Federal Reserve Bank, and then joined the Ken Blanchard companies as a senior consultant. And it's there that I really was able to take some of my career experiences in the nonprofit field, having brilliant bosses that built terrific cultures that felt great to work in, all the way to bosses that had no clue about the quality of culture or the impact that negative culture was having on our spirits and our performance. So I was able to not only build leadership skills, but also come to clarity that if the culture you have doesn't support the training you're bringing in, you're wasting time and money. So I began working on a process that has proven very effective, and thrilled that Mark joined me about 10, 11 years ago. So we both are focused upon helping leaders create cultures that make sense for them, but that also create an environment where people feel respected and validated while kicking butt on results expectations.
Well, and Chris, it's exciting for me to start this podcast because, with the book, we're absolutely grateful that it's changed so many companies already. But by definition, a book is you're talking at people, not with people. And this podcast is going to give us an opportunity to talk to our current clients, to talk to influencers in the culture space, to talk to leaders who are facing the same challenges you might be facing right now and have no clue yet how to fix that. And so we're going to have these conversations where we're going to avoid the buzzwords. We're going to avoid the BS. We're not going to talk in cliches. We're going to talk about practical ways to change your company culture. It doesn't happen overnight. This is not a quick fix. It's not a silver bullet. But as you hear from our guest, you'll know that it's possible. It's not only possible, it's completely practical. And once you start down this journey and you hear our guests' input on exactly how they did it, what worked for them, what did not work for them, how their people reacted to even the idea of change, that you'll grow as a leader and maybe decide to take on culture change in your company.
Well, and what we're excited about is that we've got clients that are big organizations, more classic corporate Fortune 100 organizations, all the way down to small businesses, much smaller teams, including nonprofits. And all of them were able to latch on to this idea that their job as leaders is not just managing performance. That's half of the leader's role. The other half is managing values and respect. And so as those leaders built skills and built comfort and created a structure and are holding everyone, including their fellow senior leader peers, accountable for modeling the behaviors and the values that they hold dear, then that's where traction increases. And again, it does result in some pretty cool outcomes. So real quick, our clients typically enjoy 35% boosts in employee engagement. They enjoy 35% boosts in customer satisfaction. They enjoy 40% gains in retention of key talent, which is pretty important. And those results in profits things, even for nonprofits, consistently grow by 40% and more.
Here's the best part of all of that. Not only are we going to help our listeners learn how to achieve those lofty goals, but you're going to hear from the people that have been there, done that. And that's the problem with culture. Even if you can break through all the jargon, all the buzzwords, all that stuff, there's still no practical how-to out there, right? It's not like we learned how to do cultural change in business school. It's not like our predecessors or our mentors, who by definition provide been there, done that advice. Most people have never been there. They've never done that when it comes to culture change. And so, Chris, this is one of the things that excites me most about this is we're going to talk to people who have that been there, done that advice. And those people, our chances are not in your networks now, but they will be after you listen to the episode of the podcast. And Chris and I, we know what works, we know what doesn't work, and so do our guests. So at the end of every episode, you're going to go, you know what? I got to try that. Or, oh God, I'm not going to make that mistake. So we hope it's not just a learning experience, but a source of actionable inspiration for our listeners. Every episode, we hope, is going to provide a moment where you go, holy crap, I did that. Yes, it sucked. I'm never going to do it again. And now I know what to do instead.
Well, and to give you a little bit of an overview of the work that Mark and I do and how we guide and coach clients through their unique opportunities to align folks and practices and decisions to their ideal culture. We know leaders are used to setting performance expectations and then trying as best they can to hold people accountable for those. And sometimes that accountability isn't quite as consistent as leaders and even team members would like. And to be able to take values from aspirational ideas and to get them to literally observable, tangible, measurable behaviors, you can, in essence, have expectations of what respectful behavior in our house looks like, and then have leaders model it, coach it, praise it, redirect it if it's not there. So literally, it's creating workplaces where respect is as important as results.
Well, and those are the kind of guests we're going to have on the show, Chris. And not just our current clients. We already have people reaching out to us saying, this is just a good discussion to have. This is, and we're just getting started. I don't think of it as a round table, and it's just going to be you, Chris, and me, and a guest. And we're just going to have a, 45-minute to an hour dialogue about culture change, and not just change for change's sake, but sustainable, drivable, appreciated change. And we've already heard from a couple of our guests in the episodes we've recorded so far, where once we start holding people accountable for living the desired culture at their companies, well, some people just don't fit anymore. And sometimes we have to have those tough conversations. And throughout our podcast, throughout the different episodes, that's the kind of real world conversations we're going to have, is how to do that and still maintain grace, still maintain professionalism, still keep morale up, but know there's going to be certain people that are not going to be here anymore because they don't align to the ideal culture here. And Chris, we've had one conversation already where once people who did not score very high on the respect value were asked to leave, and everybody else in the company went, "Oh, thank God, it's about time. We've been waiting for this. It's like a big weight is lifted, and now we're all moving in the same direction. There's no more dicks. There's no more divas. There's just people that believe in the mission, aligned to the values, and we're just going full steam ahead."
Well, and it's way more fun once you get to that. And we talk about you can't tolerate bad behaviors, especially once you formalize what the desired culture is going to look like, feel like, smell like. And one of our guests has a phrase that he's known for, and it's if these folks don't see the benefit of aligning to our culture, then we're going to share them with the competition. That they can't stay here, that they're perfectly delightful people, but if they're not going to live the culture that we have formalized, they're just not going to work out here. And you're going to hear, again, sometimes those conversations are heart-rendering, and yet you can't not hold people accountable. So the idea of creating this ideal of respect and results, it may seem like it's a pipe dream, but it happens and it's real. And we want to make it happen for you all in your unique organizations. One of the things that's been fascinating about this work, and yes, we talk a lot about senior leaders, but we've had wonderful client experiences in small plants, in small teams of larger organizations. It just takes team and leaders of the team to say, we can do better than this. We're not going to, live in this turmoil anymore. And we've got a process that people have embraced and works very well to create that uncompromising culture.
Here's what I'm most excited about, Chris, is we're going to have guests. We've already recorded episodes with guests from, CEOs of major corporations to a manager of a very small team of 15. And we're going to be talking to startup founders and nonprofit executive directors and CHROs and CEOs. And they're all going to bring this story to life. And that's the one thing, my biggest hope for our podcast, Chris, is that it really does come down to storytelling. And yes, it should be entertaining, but it should also be informative. And our guests that we already have lined up are incredibly sharp, incredibly passionate, and also diverse. I mean, I'm very excited about the fact that we're going to have people on our show that aren't just more old white guys. And I say that, obviously, Chris and I are both old white guys, but the world doesn't work like that anymore. Corporate America doesn't function like that anymore. So we're going to bring a diverse set of guests that aren't just, based on company size, but different perspectives, different heritages, different traditions, different desires of what is important to them as leaders. And here's what we can definitely promise you. Everybody on the guest will be a leader just like you. They each bring their own concerns. They each bring their own dreams, We're going to talk about the challenges that they are currently facing right now or maybe faced in the past and have finally climbed that mountain. So I'm most excited about the kind of guests we're going to have, Chris, and the kind of conversations that that'll generate.
Well, and our intent with the podcast is to make this valuable, is to maybe shine a light on some practices of how you can, reduce the amount of bad behavior that happens in your team. But more importantly, it's about creating an environment where people feel like they belong, like they're sharing important work that they do with their peers, and that they're learning along the way. And so you're going to hear a great deal from our guests about how that has blossomed once they got past the toxicity, the harassment, the frustration of players that really weren't bought into this vision of respect and results. So we're very, very excited about the podcast. This is going to be a wonderful ride. We hope you will join us and listen in. It'll be available in video format and in audio format, as you might expect. And you might, as you listen along, and maybe even so far as you've listened to this introductory segment with Mark and me, you may want to give us, a holler. Just ping us with these folks might be good guests, or here's some topics that I'm wondering about. Can you include those? So our email address is authors@goodcomesfirst.com. authors@goodcomesfirst.com, and it'll come to us and we will respond. We promise. So thank you for listening. We're very, very excited about the Mastering Workplace Culture podcast. Mark, what should we add?
Here's what I want to add. We talked before about no BS, no buzzwords. The reality is culture has become that. And now every leadership expert, because so many cultures have become toxic. We live in a divided world right now where people get to say random things just to fire people up. Well, that isn't how this works. That isn't how any of this works. So which is why it's so important we talk with you, not at you. So if you hear something on the podcast, if Chris and I say something or a guest says something where you just go, yeah, that, that would never work here. Use authors@goodcomesfirst.com. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your challenges. We want to hear your frustrations. We want you to be part of the show just as much as our guests are.
Well, again, thank you so much for listening. We're excited for this venture and very excited that you're going to be a part of it with us. So we will see you very soon.
This has been Mastering Workplace Culture. No jargon, no corporate fairy tales, just leaders who show their scars and celebrate their wins. Do something with what you heard today. Subscribe, share, take action. Creating a culture that equally values respect and results is your responsibility. Go own it. When you're ready to make that happen, we're here to help. We'll catch you in the next episode of Mastering Workplace Culture.